Hey everyone, welcome to the Curious Girl Diaries podcast. I'm Layla London, aka The Curious Girl. Now, just to let you know, this podcast is not suitable for work. It's also not suitable for anybody under 18. But the rest of you consenting adults, let's get ready to talk about my sex life, sex in general, and everything in between in explicit, raunchy, fun detail. All right, here we go. I just don't like the blindfolding. Why am I so adverse to that?
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you mind having your mouth gagged?
I've never had my mouth gagged.
Are you serious? Are you going to make a promise on this podcast?
Oh, shit. Okay, what is it?
That's the promise. You're going to promise that you're going to do a session with your D with a blindfold.
All right, everyone. Guess what? We have another special treat today. I have, again, Sir Inq with me. And I've got him on today because we're going to start doing a podcast called Sub RX, at least on my end anyway, because I'm seriously right now, my head's spinning. I'm needing some help. So I'm going to get on the couch here. I'm going to get a little counseling session. And we've got, again, so Sir Inq's going to be helping me. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. You know, one of these days we're going to have to record all the bullshit we go through and all the funny stuff that we're sitting there saying before we actually get this thing going.
Before we walk out on stage, they get to see the behind the curtain production going on.
They get to see me Forrest Gumping my way through. Okay, wait a minute. That might be on my end. We have technical difficulties from time to time, and it seems to be that I'll say in your defense, it seems like it's on my end most of the time. So
no, it's something about us.
We have technical difficulties.
Right. It's like, no, don't do that. Yeah, okay, I'll go do it.
All right. So I'm going to jump right in.
Okay.
Because this, I'm telling you, for a good, I don't know, like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, whenever it was that I was in the Virgin Islands and was texting with you, and you sent me something, and I gotta tell you, it just fucking blew my mind. It rocked my world, literally. I was on the beach and my head just about exploded. So what I want to do is to get everybody up to speed on what I'm talking about. I'm going to read our little text exchange.
Okay,
and,
go ahead.
You know, and I was just kind of talking, I'll give the general scenario. So here I'm talking to you about, you know, why I'm sort of kvetching a bit about how is it that, you know, why do I need this dominance? What is it? Like, how come I'm just like so into it? And so it starts out, you know, with me saying, you know, it defies logic. I not only want him to do this, I need him to do this to me. Why is that? And then you respond and you say, because being in control and shouldering the load is taxing every day on the soul. An A-type woman that relishes her feminism needs to have that control snatched from her and fall into subspace. Really, it's just about being all soft and feminine. And then I said, I don't think I've ever read anything that makes more sense to me. Wow, very well said. And then your last comment was, you have a softness about you, but this society specifically in the workforce will rake you over the coals and fuck you over with that. To win in a man's world, you have to adapt the male fiery energy, which kills softness. So with him, he takes that fire away and allows you to just be. So I've been dying, like literally I've been dying to go deeper with this.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm going to have a shit ton of questions probably on this. As soon as you start talking, I'm probably going to be writing down some more questions. So you may have a few surprise curveballs, but so, I mean, my first question is, you know, do you think this is the basic fundamental core basis of the sub-dom relationship? You know, what you had just said up there.
For some it is. And the reason why I say that is, I think, we're going deep with this.
Yeah, I want to go deep.
We're going to go deep. So, in my opinion, the women of today are having a conflict. They're having a conflict with what they know submission and women from a time before women's rights and all this stuff, and women being treated as second class citizens, to more independent women being in the workforce, having to deal with being competitive, basically.
Yeah.
And it's not that women aren't competitive women can't be competitive. Of course, women are competitive, but it's just the way men are. It just takes it's taxing on feminism to just constantly be competitive. So the thing for me is that I see out here and talking to people, I think that there's a new kind of woman that can enjoy being in the workforce and can also enjoy being feminine. And when I mean feminine is like really being her femininity without it being like her looking like weak or subservient to a degree. And a lot of BDSM relationships, if you're looking at pictures, just seem subservient. And really, it's just like anything else. Every relationship is your own. You can have a relationship however you want. You might not necessarily be the kind of submissive that's like a slave, but then you could be the kind of submissive that you can take all that stuff that you worry about off your shoulders, lay it down, and just be able to just be at peace. And I think a lot of the problem, what I see, and from personal experiences, women have hold on to a lot of anxiety. And one thing, and this is going a little deeper, but women are more watery than
Yeah.
men are. Men are more hot, fiery. Women are more watery. Women, because of that water, right? Because men are external, we have a penis. Women are internal, they have a vagina, which is moist. So it's always this, watery thing about women. When you're dealing with water, water represents receptivity. The more water, the more receptive you are to the atmosphere, thoughts, spiritual things, blase, blase. Men are hot fire creatures, which is like more, it's more direct. It's more bold. It's not expansive. Like men are more like, yeah, for example, I'm in the room, I'm looking at my dresser, then I look at my door, I see my painting, the
Mm-hmm.
bed, I see this and that. Where women will see how all that works together. Men are more separatist with
Yeah.
things, and women are more bring everything together. So what happens is when women cross over into a man's world in that way, she finds herself somewhat losing her femininity, her connection to things, to the environment, to everything, because you have to adapt more to that fiery personality. So what a dominant does, he really comes in at a time in your life is for you in particular, where he's like, you've been down that road so many times, so just lay it all down now. And like we're older and stress will kill you. And so I mean, I'm being dead serious. A lot of people don't understand their illnesses is based on stress. And so imagine just being able to take that kind of load off you. And for men, this is what we do because we know how to see, like a man is different, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about this before. When I come home from work, a stressful day, all I want, I can eat something. I can have something. I can make myself a plate. I can make myself a drink, watch the game, and then I'm good.
Yeah.
You won't hear me complain about work. I may mention work, but I ain't gonna complain about work. And I'm certainly not gonna do it all damn night.
Yeah.
In my experience, women will bring work home,
Mm-hmm.
talk about work all damn night, and then start having anxiety about going to work the next day, that night. So what I'm saying is, and that's not all women, so let me not paint
Yeah.
all women with a
Sure.
broad brush, but I'm just saying enough women have these kind of stresses of work and they don't know how to shut it off when they come home. And so this is what a dominant does. A dominant is supposed to stand between his woman in his household and the outside world. And the first thing you want to do is keep outside because your home is supposed to be your sanctuary. It's the
Yeah.
one place where you're supposed to get some kind of peace.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's that's why I said that to you because you're an A type personality,
Yes.
and and here's the thing: when you're A type personality and you've made your life happen for you, and you're independent, blah blah blah, it's just very hard to come off that mountain. Like it's very hard to come off that mountain, but you also realize it's a lot of stress being on that mountain, and
Totally.
so. But for men, it's easier because we like, yeah, I'm on the mountain and this is what I do. But we're gonna drink, or we'll have something that we do,
Hmm.
work
You know,
out,
can I
some kind of
interject
activity.
something?
Go
I'm sorry, I
ahead.
don't mean to cut you off. I just
No,
want to
good.
interject something because you said something I think that was really important, and that's like that it's, being on that mountain's kind of, it's really hard to do. It is hard to do because it really, I believe for women, I'll speak for women. I believe at our core, that kind of stuff does go against, really what we're predisposed to. And that is what you said. And that's that feminine, soft energy. That doesn't mean weak. That just means, that's our strength is through that avenue. And when we're trying to sort of put a different hat on and say, okay, my strength is going to be now through, this other, these things that tend to be more masculine,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's taxing. It's hard to live that all the time without an outlet to sort of, just be, who you really were sort of predisposed to be. And so over
Right.
time, if you don't have that outlet and you're just kind of going along and you're like, God, like, yeah, it's great that I'm accomplishing all these things. Don't get me wrong, but there's something that, internally where I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it messes with my relationships because I don't quite understand how to, turn it off and shut it down. And
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't understanding how that, that where the divide needed to be. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you can still be that person during the day, but you got to know who you are at your core and
Mm-hmm.
what makes you happy in relationships. And then to just, kind of flip that switch. So, but it can be, if you're not really thinking of it in that terms, it can be confusing. So when you said that, for some reason, it just made perfect sense to me. And I was like, holy shit.
Yes.
Yes. Take me to the mountain. Preach,
Right. Take it to
I
the
felt
mountain and
like
preach.
the spirit had
Mhm.
moved me. I'm sitting there in my bikini drinking my drink, I'm like, whoa, my mind has been blown.
The thing that you come to realize, and even I realize in my own maturity, is that most men don't know what they really. Most men really do not know what they want with a woman, or the things we want are very basic, like our needs. Like men needs are very basic, and then sometimes the things that we want out of women is basic. But women being so expansive, I don't want to say
Mm-hmm.
complicated, just
Dynamic.
so expansive that a man with a mindset about him can really get a woman to do a lot of things. And this is on just another level, a little deeper, is that women are very powerful because y'all guys bring life into the world and because you guys are connected to the environment. It's just a whole different level. But this is why men who don't understand how to get into a woman's mind, they go to more physical ways of trying to control a woman. And but they'll look at a person like, let's just say like a pimp and be like, think he crazy, but he got women out here doing whatever he want. And there's men on all different levels out there. A pimp is something that's just like more out in your face. It seems a little bit more rogue and a little grimy. But there's men at the top levels doing the same thing. It's just not called that or looked or frowned upon like that.
Yeah.
But for example, if I'm going to a meeting, I probably would prefer to take a woman with me than a dude. And I'm gonna tell you why. I probably prefer to take a woman who's very on her A game because she's going to see things that we as men don't pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
In a room where people are talking, I may miss something, but it's just the way she said something or that person said something, the way they look, they did this. Like women are just more in tune with things that we just don't see. And that's why if you look at like a lot of the senators and the congressmen, like they staffers, some of them be women. The person right next to them be a woman. It's a reason for that. It ain't just because she look pretty.
No.
And that's what they'll sell. That's what they make us think. Oh, such and such and such and such and such senator he's a real pretty intern working next to him. Because in this society, just push like girls and beer.
No.
But you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's
Mm-hmm.
the throw off, right? That's the
Yeah.
throw off. But really, on a real winning level, if you want to win, you got to have women in your circle. You got to have women that are very intelligent in your circle. Because
Yeah.
and if they're intelligent and intuitive, they can see things that others can't. You need that. It's invaluable. But most men, beer and girls, you know what I mean? They don't think of women like that. They think of women as sex objects and not seeing them as someone who can actually help you get to another level, help y'all get to another level. And
Yeah.
so when you get a guy like that, right? He's like, lay all that stuff down, just be yourself and relax, take a deep breath because it's okay.
Well,
It's
it's
okay
almost,
to
yes,
lay
it
your
is
stresses
almost
down.
like, you're either going to do that, or if not, there's a conflict, because you can't have that, those two fiery energies around. It just makes for problems. And this, as I was telling you, before you hit me with this, life changing moment here with this text, preceding that was, me just, we were joking about, I think you were asking me like, hey, are you getting are you all tied up? You're getting your attitude adjustment. And the funny thing is, boy, night one, I did. I mean, I really got a big attitude adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I will say this, shocking how, like, the next after that, I didn't, if I knew kind of I was doing something I wasn't supposed to, I just instantly just kind of didn't do it. Like it didn't take him, kind of escalating with me for me to go, oh, I'm not supposed. Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah, that, like I was backing off that, right?
Right.
And it's so, and I've kind of, in a way, it's almost kind of being childlike. Like I felt like
Mm-hmm.
that, like, oh, I'm getting some basic lessons here, and
Yes.
but
It's
but
what you want.
huh?
It's what you want.
Yeah, yeah, but it's effective, even
So
to an adult woman. Like it, I got to, I just have to say, I'm not, like, it was so effective what he did.
so here's the thing. Like when most people reach the age of 28, they're really set in their ways.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for them to really change a lot, it has to be something drastic that happens, or it has to take them to really dig deep into their spiritual being and really just change some things. So the fact that you're an A-type personality, that's never going to change. That's not really going to change, right?
No.
And you're always going to have a butting of heads with a more dominant figure, right? Which is fine. Which is fine in my opinion, because not all relationships are supposed to be just this, this easy flowing, easy going thing. You don't really learn anything without any pushing and without any pull. But I will say this, there are certain cardinal sins that you just can't do,
Okay, tell me.
right? And I mean but that is particular to a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have certain things that are cardinal sins that I just can't rebound from.
What are those?
And so I would give you one. One is any public meltdown or public embarrassment type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like I don't do that. I don't do the out in public drama, blasting, my personal business all in the street. I don't do that. And so that's known up front. So, anytime that we get into a situation, this is how people are, this is how human beings are. You really don't know who people are until things are going bad,
That's true.
right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
people, you get to know who people are in adverse times, right? And if I tell you that this right here is something that is straight cardinal sin, I hate, and that really takes it hard for me to bounce back. If you do that, then you're risking the whole dynamic, whether it be a relationship or anything else. But everyone knows someone's hard limit like that. And if you go on to that limit, not only are you just straight ending the relationship, but you're straight disrespecting me
Mm-hmm.
because something like that is in your control, you know?
Right. So I
Not
agree with
acting a fool in public is in your control. And you know
acting.
if you
Did you say acting a fool?
acting a fool
I love
and
that.
and you know if you do it,
Yeah. Don't
you
go
know if you
acting a
do
fool.
it, you know that's a cardinal sin,
Yeah.
right? So you're going to have to that's going to come with a heavy price. Some things you can't be forgiven for.
Yes.
You just
Yeah.
got to
I,
know. You
absolutely.
just have to know those things. So anything else is work aroundable. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But some things is just like, oh, you did that. Okay,
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
you.
Right. You have your exactly. My thing. It's so it's interesting you bring that up. You know what my deal breaker is? It's like
Okay.
or what just like it's hard. You know you can't. I'm a big one on honesty. Like it's hard to come back. From I just because I think as adults, like lying is just it's a choice. You just
Mm-hmm.
don't have to do it. We really really don't have to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
the kind of the I guess to expand on that is oh shit, I just lost my train of thought. All right, hold on, give me a second. We'll edit this part. Was it?
It's hard being authentic, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's hard being authentic, isn't it? That's where lies come from.
Yeah,
When
right.
people are right, when people are afraid to just really express what's truly on their mind or be who they really are and own it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
a very hard place
It
to
is.
to be in because it's almost like admitting something is embarrassing to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you're asking for honesty, that's where you have to come from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for me, like and also I think that what the other thing that's super just critical to me is I don't know if this sounds strange or not, but loyalty. So I am probably loyal to a fault. I
Okay.
when the doors open, I give you the benefit of the doubt, just 100%. It's really up to you. That's like my gift.
Mm-hmm.
Like here you go. It's really up to you to fuck that up. If you fuck
Mm-hmm.
that up, it's gonna be it's gonna be hard and to come back from. And that's what I mean by loyalty is whether you're sitting right next to me or you're not. You can expect the exact same behavior. I will talk about you in the same context. I will represent you the same way I would if you were sitting right next to me or not.
Uh-huh.
And when somebody doesn't do that,
Uh-huh.
when they turn into a an idiot, I don't know what the right word
Uh-huh.
is. If I'm not
Okay.
there and they get bowled over by maybe just not wanting to, I don't know, just be honest
Right.
because it's more comfortable for them to do something else or
Right.
whatever the reasoning. It's
Right.
just like if I was there in the room with you, is that the same way you would have handled it when I'm as you did because I wasn't there? And
Right.
if there's it when it's different, I'm like, well, that's very telling to me. So
Mm-hmm.
my thing, is the kind of the loyalty slash honesty to, is big. Those are big for me. And you kind of like, aren't gonna come back from that. That's my version of acting a fool.
Okay, well
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
well you get the right if you meet the right person, they tell a whole lot of lies. So you're right. Yeah, absolutely. That is a major one. And I have a saying for you. A client of mine gave it
Yeah.
to me today. We were talking about I forget what we were exactly talking about, but he looked at me and said, "Hey man, loyalty is a lifestyle." And I was like, "Damn,
That's good.
I like
That's
that."
true.
I said, "I like that. Loyalty is a lifestyle."
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what happens is loyalty also deals with discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, doing what I'm supposed to do all the time. And in my dating life, I will say that that's very tough. That has been a challenge in my dating life because with all that's going on with men and women, blah, 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 it's just hard for women to think that a man can be that focused. It's
So
hard.
I'm
It's
sorry,
hard.
you say that that women don't believe that men can be loyal?
No, can be disciplined enough.
Oh, discipline. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that in loyalty, there's discipline
Yes,
because they're
absolutely.
right. And I have friendships that I have friends that I've known for over 25, 30 years. And so, since I was basically a kid. And so there are certain things that we just have not let come between us. Money,
Yeah.
girls, all kind of little stuff, drugs, anything, alcohol, whatever it is, we never let anything come between us. That takes a lot of loyalty and discipline. Times when you don't get it, you don't get along, y'all fight or whatever, and then y'all still remain friends. That takes a lot of discipline. And so it's just tough, when you go back to the relationships of men and women.
Yeah.
Is how you were phrasing this.
Yes.
And it's tough. It's very tough. Loyalty and discipline is very tough. And just being loyal to yourself, right? Like I don't feel like lying. It's so much energy being wasted.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned a while ago to be myself and to own it, which I do. And it's tough dating because people want that. They say they want that. But then when they get it, they like to change it.
Yeah.
And remember one of the things that you and I had briefly talked about when we were going to do this podcast was how women like to move the football on men. When maybe we could say that for another podcast, but
Yeah.
you know, um,
You can touch on it now. We can always expound on that at a different point, but go ahead.
yeah, just the football gets moved, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody say they want these things, and then men are very simple, like I've always been saying, in our routines. Most of us in our routines, the things we want, the things we do, and sometimes getting in a relationship, a woman understands these things, blase, blase. This is what she wants, and then she'll move the football on you here and there, and then after a while, women feel like men don't care about what y'all need. It's just that, your needs have changed. Now, over time, of course, everybody needs change over time because we get older, things we want is different. But it just seems some people are restless souls. They don't have a way to be content with things being okay.
Yeah.
That kind of move to football kind of people,
Mm-hmm.
people are like that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, women are like that. In
Yeah.
my experience, because I've only dealt with women.
Well,
Speak.
yeah, obviously. I know it could be. We don't know. We at some point, we probably should get. It'd be interesting to get the homosexual point of view. I mean, we know there's dominant, submissive
Yeah.
relationships with or
Yes.
dynamics with same sex partners.
Yeah.
That would be kind of. I'm sure. You know what? I'm sure it's all. I'm sure it's just same thing, different day, right? I mean,
Right.
it lands in everybody's lap.
We
So
all
I
have
kind
the
of
same needs.
go ahead.
I said, no, I was saying in that respect, all relationships have the same needs, which come
Yep.
down to trust, is
Yeah.
what you were saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, okay, so I'm glad you brought up the T word because I want to I I want to. I, I'm struggling. There's something I am struggling with, and I'm going to be real frank. And I want
Okay.
your opinion. I know you can't. You're not going to diagnose the whole thing in a nutshell, and it's really just from my point of view. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm sort of I'm struggling a little bit in this dominant submissive role here with I'm struggling a little bit with trust. Not gonna lie, I'm struggling with it. And it came up, the last time that when I was in the Virgin Islands and when I was with Cowboy and it did come up. And it's maybe I don't know, is it maybe because I'm new and I'm just sort of like kind of learning new things. Um and again, I'm one that we're like when stuff comes up, I'm not even really thinking so much how it's about the other person. I'm really more focused on how it's about, me. But I am, like I did do a couple things like where he was like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Are what you're saying, what you don't trust me and we've been doing all this stuff for how long and
Hmm.
what, now you're not trusting me." He did take that personally. And um I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm struggling with it and under this dynamic, in this context, because I don't have any, I'm giving up control, which I'm so used to having, which gives me this false sense of security. I know that control is kind of an illusion, but,
Hmm.
so as I'm doing this and he's sort of like, kind of ripping all that away, I'm I'm freaks me out a little bit. And there's some things like I'm like, oh, I don't know, and I'm questioning like if I can trust him. And I'm just wondering if have you ever experienced that? Do you think that's normal or not? I'm trying to kind of understand maybe why I'm having this come up for me.
Well, yes, it's very normal. And if you're speaking of in session in a physical way, yes,
Yes.
I mean it's a very you're being compromised. You're putting yourself in a very compromising, helpless situation. And that's nothing to, sneeze at, right? And it may take some time, and only you know when that time is right. And it might just take repetition instead of just, a lot of trust can be gained in repetition. Like the
Yeah.
more y'all do it, the more you be like, you be a little easy, you're a little easier,
Yeah.
you know. But I do know, the session could be not necessarily what might happen to you, but just the fact that you're about to do something and it has you, a little antsy about it,
Mm-hmm.
and it might not be so much you don't trust him as much as you wouldn't trust anybody in that to put you in that situation,
Yeah. Sure.
because we do know all the horror stories and all that stuff. We've
Yeah.
heard it all. And so you just want to make sure that you feel comfortable doing it. And
Yeah.
as a dominant, though it can be frustrating because if you've been dealing with a person so long, you just feel like, you should just go along with it. Like, I wouldn't hurt you. But it doesn't always come that easy for everybody, especially a person. I don't even want to just say a person with an A-type personality. Anyone that's willing to put their life on the line,
Mm-hmm.
put their life in someone else's hands. That's a huge responsibility. That's a huge gift to give someone. And so that it cannot be taken lightly. And I mean, I've had, before I do a session, I always ask, what are we going to accomplish? I try to get real detailed about it. I try to visualize some things. I try to ask how far they want to go. What would they be willing to try? That's a little extra, blase, blase. But um, if a person say they're not ready for it, I just got to back off.
Yeah.
And I can be I can not, and I know I can be disappointed even if we discussed it as something that they be willing to do in at the moment. Sometimes the vibe just don't be right, you know, and you got to back off of it and come back at it again. But no, you're not unique in the way of just saying no, I don't want to do that. That's part of the whole dynamic is that if a person doesn't want to do something, even in the middle of the act. there is a safe word that allows you to get out of the whole thing,
Yeah.
or a gesture if your mouth is gagged,
Mm-hmm.
or a hand gesture, or some kind of gesture that tells the person to end the session.
Yeah.
So no and stop are very acceptable results when you're in this dynamic, and when you're
Mm-hmm.
doing physical play.
Yeah.
100%. And I know it's disappointing because on his end, right, he could be disappointed because he could have been anticipating it, right? And he could be anticipating how good it's going to be. You know what I mean? And so he might have really been planning it out, thinking it out, had this whole thing set up, and then it just got shut down. So
Yeah.
in that way, yeah, he could be disappointed, but it's not for you to feel bad. It's just that's what it is. And really, in the end, as long as you feel good about yourself, that's all that really matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, that's all that really matters.
Yeah. So one of the things that I don't know why, and this wasn't what specifically what I was just referencing there, that what, brought that kind of trust thing to the surface. But there's another thing that I'm not super comfortable with. I don't know why. And I know it's like, I know I'll get past it, but like, I just don't like the blindfolding. Why am I like so adverse to that? It's like, I want to see what's going on. I'm like, what are you doing? Of what's coming? I hate being deprived of that visual, thing. And the other thing, part of that is that I get a lot of, for me, the just heightened the sexiness of what's happening, is through the visual. I
Okay.
mean, like, I like to look and see, like, yeah, you're there you go. You're pounding my
Right.
pussy, your cock is in me, and
Right.
whatever. I like to look and see what you're biting me, like what
Mm-hmm.
is going on. So to have, like, for some reason, like being blindfolded is a biggie for me. Have you come across it? Do you find that?
No, so let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you mind having your mouth gagged?
I've never had my mouth gagged.
Are you serious?
Oh, he and I have
All
joked back and forth
right.
about. He's like, "I'm gonna
Oh
slap this
Lord.
ball gag on you."
Oh my God. You never had the ball gag in your mouth. You never had nothing in your mouth to stop you from
Well, a
talking.
penis.
That
I
doesn't
mean,
count. That doesn't count. Okay, great.
that
Oh my
stops
God.
me. That stops me from talking. I'm
Okay,
not
well,
talking.
okay, great. Oh my God, you are something else. Okay, so all right. So imagine this. Let me take you through this visual.
Okay, give me the visual.
Because you're a person that wants to watch everything. Cool. Now, before I get this visual, you kind of mentioned a couple of things, but tell me, truthfully,
Yes.
is you're wanting to see more about being able to anticipate, get your body prepared for what you're about to experience,
Yes.
or is it really
No, I just
about
answered you.
that? All right, there it is. So it's control.
Yeah, it's a control thing.
All right, so I want you to imagine yourself sitting in a chair. And
Okay.
you're tied to the chair. You can't move no whatsoever. You're tied to the chair. You can't move.
Mm-hmm.
The mouth is gagged.
My mouth is gagged.
The mouth is gagged.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, your mouth is gagged. And I bring out a bucket of water and ice.
Mm-hmm.
And I take a big butcher knife and I sit it in there and put it right on the table in front of you.
Can I see that? Am I?
You can see it.
Oh,
You can see it.
okay.
And then I'm going to put a candle next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I'm going to drip wax on you.
I love that drip. Oh my God, that's like on my
Right.
lip. Like fucking drip that wax
Right.
all over me.
Right. And then I'm going to take this knife out of this bucket of cold water and ice.
Ooh.
And I'm about to use this to scrape some of the wax off you.
Oh, fuck.
Now, would you rather see that? Do you see would you rather see that or just blindly experience that?
I don't know. Well, oh gosh.
You're a control freak. You see, because you're a control freak, like I would go extra
Mm-hmm.
to that's why I said the bucket of ice with the knife in it, because it's like, oh shit, he pulled a knife out.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you
Right?
said the knife, I'm
Like,
like, I can see, that's why I asked you, can I see this? And you
yeah, you
said
can see it.
yes. And that's why I was like,
Absolutely, you can see it.
mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because in some sessions, right, we talk about sensation play,
Yeah.
right? Talking about sensory play. So now you can't move, you can't talk, and now you're about to get the sensation of hot wax, and then you're about to get you're about to feel cold steel against your skin,
Oh my God.
gently
That's fucking
scraping that
hot.
wax off.
Jesus,
That
that's
would
hot.
that would drive you crazy. But imagine if you couldn't see it.
I know. So it's kind of like,
You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know. You can't see, like when you see the wax coming, you're bracing for that.
yeah.
Your mind is already sending that signal to
Mm-hmm.
your body. Embrace for something hot, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But if you can't see anything, right? I've had a a sub of mine at one point in this position, tied to the chair, blindfolded, and I was taking. I had three different knives out. I had like a survival knife, a butcher knife, and this other kind of knife that flick out.
Mm-hmm.
And I used one. I put one in cold, of a
Yeah.
little small bucket of cold water and ice, and I took the other ones and I was just gently running it across the skin. And then I
Mm-hmm.
took a candle and I dripped the candle wax on her. And it's all sensation. So she's like going through it. Then
Yeah.
at the end of that, I dripped the candle wax on her, let it sit for a second, let it
Yeah.
harden up. Then I take the cold steel, the cold one out the bucket. And I let her hear it. I let her hear the bucket rummaging with the steel in it,
Yeah.
and,
Oh.
and then start scraping it off.
I love it.
Right? So I give you that visual because you want to brace for it. You want to see it coming every time, but you should probably try the blindfold. And if you don't try the blindfold, you at least got to try the ball
Oh, I
gag.
have had. Oh God. Oh my God. You're killing me with both of those. I know. I know. I know. I'm sure.
You're
I'm
scared.
sure that I'll. Yes. I know. These are coming. These are coming. Coming attractions. But I think. Yeah. I like the sensory. I'm trying.
Play.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably more inclined to do the blindfold. Yes.
And so now you're going to try to do a session
Yeah.
with your dom with the blindfold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you're
Okay.
going to do. That's where we at, right? Are you
That's
making
where
this
we're
a
at.
are you
I've done
gonna
it.
are you gonna make a promise on this podcast?
Oh, oh shit.
Huh?
Okay. Okay,
Huh?
what is it?
That's the promise. You're gonna promise that you're gonna do a session with your D with a blindfold.
Yes, I have done a session where I was blindfolded. It just took a lot of coaxing to get me into that. And I think then there was one time where I just kind of flat out was like, mm-mm. And
Ooh.
which was not, again,
Didn't go well.
it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't received poorly, but it wasn't, received with, of course, that's, that wasn't the intention. So, yes, I'll be more open to that.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what I,
there's
that's what
other
I'm saying
ways.
right now. I'm saying it right now. Hey, I'm here to out myself. I don't mind. I've got my
I,
limits. I'm
I
work.
see, I see, and if and he could torture you in so many different ways if you didn't want to do a blindfold. That's
he, he did.
I,
He
oh my
did.
God. I know. I'm just thinking about it myself. Like if I had somebody that wanted to see everything, I would still make sure she didn't see everything.
Yeah. I just trust me. He, he's
I
got
would make
that.
sure.
Yeah. Yes. Well, then you and he are on the same page there with that. So, and it's not, yeah, I'm not getting away with much. If I don't, if, if that's not going, I'm not gaining much ground, although for some reason, like I feel like I am, but I'm really not. So I do know that.
But what I like about talking to you about your situation is that even though you're saying like that's a hard limit for you right now, you're saying it with this kind of excitement and this kind of joy. And I hear a lot of people just having a horrible go at it. And
Mm,
like you're really enjoying the ride, you
I
know?
am.
You're really enjoying and because it is a discovery, it's a discovery about yourself first, and it's through this other person, right?
Yeah.
Just like when you asked me that question, how we started this whole conversation, I responded to you, and it was like a light bulb went off. Sometimes it's just life bringing that message back to you
Yeah.
in some kind of way, right?
Yeah.
And so many people are making bad choices with bad dimes, bad subs. So it's good to hear that you have a dominant that's creative, because being creative is such a huge part of this that most people just they it's underestimated. Like, and we talked about this before. It's not just sex. Like most of this stuff is straight foreplay, and
Yeah.
this is
True.
hours of foreplay, which most
Yeah.
people are having regular sex.
Yeah.
They're going, do you know what I'm saying? Like they're dating,
Yeah.
talk, drinking, fucking,
Yeah.
and it's over. But this is a whole session built upon the focus is on you. And this is how I'm going to take you from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
how quick do I want to get to 100? You
yeah.
know,
So, okay, okay. So that's an interesting point because I am patience is not one of my virtues at all. I mean, like when I want something, I'm like, boom, I'm ready to pull the trigger and make a decision. I'm like, go, go, go. This person, quite to the opposite, and probably that's what needs to be. I mean, when you just said, people are thinking like, oh, this is, it's like, it's all sex. No, it's taken this person over 2 years to get me to this point.
right.
And that takes patience, first and
Mm-hmm.
foremost. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it takes, there's a laundry list of things that takes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're dealing with somebody, I mean, he's dealing with somebody that's just flat out brand spanking new, not a clue about any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, "Oh yeah, I want to try some things," and really taking his time, not
Right.
being a jackass, not pushing,
Mm-hmm.
which he's, at that point, his level of what he does and has done, is so far beyond me. I'm like in kiddie land, and so, but
Mm-hmm.
to take the time, the effort, the energy, have the patience to stick in there and just let me go at my own pace, not push me too far. Even though there's times where I'm, because I'm constantly impatient, thinking you should be pushing me more. You should be, you should be
Mm-hmm.
stepping on the gas. And as you know, I've complained about that kind of to you, and and even not taking that bait at that point, and just going,
Mm-hmm.
this is that's not the right way to do it, and so I kind of I got to take my hat off to him and say, well, get on you because you've shown a lot of restraint, right? And just like he's got his own agenda and he's like, I know how to do this, and you can you can
Get on board.
yeah, and get on board.
Get
I'm
on
taking
board.
you on this journey, and you're not driving. I am.
And it's funny, and when you when you when you're dealing with someone with a strong personality, you're going to, you already know. Okay, I gotta have patience because this person is they're gonna go for the ride, but they're gonna go kicking and screaming.
Yeah,
They may not
totally.
go. They're just not gonna get in the back seat and be
No,
quiet. No, 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 no. This person's gonna get in the front seat.
that's right.
They're gonna be asking questions. They're gonna be talking.
Yeah,
but the
totally. You
but
have,
the best thing
you know
about
me. You know me so
yes,
well.
absolutely. You're going to be in the front seat talking, asking questions. Where are we going? How long is it going to take us to get there? And then you just need to look over at you. Just give you the look. You're going to be like, all right, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. I really do. I get it. I
Yeah,
do. But that's the wonderful thing about it, right? And it's all about connection. So any other guy, you'd be like, all
right,
right, let me out this car.
right.
Okay, you're a
I'm
fool. You don't know
dropping
what the
this
hell you're
bitch
doing.
off.
Yeah, drop. Yeah, get out. Right. But with this guy, it's like, you know what? It's something about him that makes me just say, all right, I'm gonna go along for the ride.
Yeah. Uh,
Instead of fighting it all the time, right? Because
hmm.
it takes a lot of energy to fight.
Yeah.
It takes a
Yeah.
lot of energy to fight. Sometimes you just need that woosah.
Yeah. Right.
Woosah.
Exactly.
Need that
Exactly.
woosah.
Totally. So, hey, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was your interview with Michelle. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. That
Yes.
was, I loved it. I like could eat that up with a spoon. It was fabulous. I listened to it. At the end of this, we're going to tell everyone where to go and listen to that. That was, it was so, for me, just, I loved listening to what she had to say, her experience, especially, having, I mean, just lived this and done this for so long. I loved hearing about the dynamic between her and her, what she, Patrone?
Her
Patron?
Patron.
Uh
Uh-huh.
huh.
Yes.
And just the whole thing. And I thought that, you guys had this, you were really vibing off each other. It was just, um, it was an amazing, it was really just, I enjoyed it thoroughly. And one of the things that stuck out to me was, you said during the interview that people, that a lot of times people think it's all about the sub giving, right? And the dom, because probably they're looking at pictures or whatever. And it's just like the
Right.
sub is giving, 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 and the dom
Right.
is taking. And, but you said, it's actually balanced. It's really
Mm-hmm.
like there's something that, the submissive brings something that the dominant needs, and then the dominant obviously brings something that the submissive needs. And it's a
Right.
really wonderful balance. And what I was hoping you could do for me is just elaborate on that a little bit.
So, one of my biggest things is just what people that are new to the lifestyle, they in this digital age is all done in pictures and
Yeah.
videos and short videos. And so it all looks nice when you have these guys fancy dressed, these women with this beautiful lingerie and pearls and necklaces, and they're taking their clothes off or they're on their knees with a tray in their hands. And it looks like this is what the submissive woman is.
Right.
She is straight up subservient.
Yeah.
And that is not the case with the women nowadays. And I think that people have to own who they are and understand that you don't have to fit in that cookie cutter model, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of what is being looked over is that the dominant himself serves as well, just a different, from a different um, angle of serving, right? Whereas though, and sometimes people feel like, well, I don't really think so, but really, if I say I'm protecting you, which a dominant is supposed to do, that's an act of putting my life before yours.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Yeah.
serving. Being security for someone is serving, and that's serving the very first way. Here we go back to what we said before. the very first way of protecting you is to put the way I think quarterly on how we operate from day to day mode. I need to put that in your head. You need to know that. So when you go out here, in the world, if something happens, we need to be on the same page. We need to know how to function, how we're going to react.
Yeah.
I need you to know me enough to maybe be able to make a decision without me if I'm indisposed or blah, blah, blah. That's all part of protection. It's pre forecasting on some stuff and also being physically there to, to defend whatever. But that's on a physical level and a little bit of mental. But on another level, when you're doing a session, right,
Mm-hmm.
it takes care to want to set up a session, think about how it's going to go, actually, consider this person's limits, how you want to push their limits. And then after all that's said and done, you have to provide aftercare, which is some form of intimacy
Mm-hmm.
with this person, some kind of consoling, or it could be a massage. It could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
That takes a level of care and wanting to serve somebody. It's all about wanting to please someone.
Yeah.
Sometimes a session, like when we see stuff like 50 Shades of Grey and he spanked her with the whip or whatever, that was him getting something off of his chest on her.
Yeah.
Right. And that to a lot of people is abuse. It's like people that beat their kids
Mm-hmm.
for just being there when they're angry at something else. Should never beat your kids or take out on someone else energy that you got from somewhere else. So that's the same thing. He should have never. You don't get angry and go into a session and take your anger out on someone else. But that happens a lot. But it's all set up in the guise of being of a sadist.
Yeah.
And
So,
so
it's interesting because I want to bring up
so
something. I'm
so let
sorry.
me say this real quick,
Okay.
quick. I want to end it with this
Yeah.
quote.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a quote by a Japanese shogun, and the shogun was hot. The
Yeah.
shogun
Shogun. Mm-hmm.
was going to cut off the head of this criminal,
Mm-hmm.
and before the shogun, right when he was going to cut the guy's head off, the guy spit on him,
Uh-oh.
and the shogun took his sword and put it back in the holster and walked off. And the moral was he was there to cut this guy's head off for the crimes he did. When he spit on him, it made him angry.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to take that anger and do that job.
Mm-hmm.
So he came back the next day and executed him.
Yeah.
But the point is, you don't take out bad energy on something that, on people that you care about, or doing a job that just, doing a job with a job, something like that, or in a situation where someone can be harmed with anger from somewhere else. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I mean, see, this is like, that's why I love talking to you so much. Because you'll say things where I just go, oh my God, holy shit. Yes. I had, this makes, like, all of a sudden, like, I have these light bulb moments. And so, I sometimes just in the natural course of, whatever, having a relationship with somebody, or, just going back and forth with someone, at one point, Cowboy Ann and I, we had this, we were just having I can't remember. I was like, I don't remember what, we had a tiff. We had kind of a tiff. Mm-hmm. And then, okay. But then later on that night, made things kind of fiery, which I like. So I'm one that's like, if I can push your buttons and, mm-hmm. Kind of light you up, mm-hmm. and then take advantage of that sexually, I will. Mm-hmm. And it's, again, it's like more of a, probably me just trying to control it. It's like, I'm like, all right, yeah, I want some fucking fire. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna do this. Well, so, and we did have, a fiery session. And, but, later on, after we talked about it, he's like, well, I was definitely holding back. And I'm like, you're holding back? Why? Like when I hear that, like that pisses me off. He's like, yeah, because I'm angry. I'm not gonna let you push me. And not,
Right,
basically what he's kind of saying is you're not going to capitalize on that.
right.
And, and obviously because, it's in a way that just wouldn't, if somebody's pissed, like you said, they're, then they're going to do things. They're going to push too far or whatever. And he's, will say this for him. He's got the amount of self-restraint that man has. It's phenomenal. Self-restraint and patience. Like after all this time, I will give him that. I mean, I'll never not say like, holy shit, because I know I can be a handful. And sometimes like when I really, well, like if I'm on it, I sometimes, I don't know why, and again, that's probably more the business like thing where like I just want to zero in. It's just like a shark in the water. Like if I see like, okay, somebody's getting irritated or there's blood, I'm going in. I'm like, I
Right.
can't stop myself, and, but, but his demeanor and the way he handles that is for me, it's disarming. It stops me from that sort of pattern behavior. And then two, he doesn't feed into it. He's not taking that bait. He's like, mm-mm. And
Right.
so it's a good thing. A good thing. Oh, it's a big compliment on him. But I just want to go even a little bit further.
Let's
And
go.
yep, let's keep going because we're talking about, what we're just kind of previously saying there. I want to, get a little deeper there. And, I'm trying to understand, again, what for the Dom?
Okay.
What does he get out of all this? It's like, I know what, as a sub, I get, like I get to relinquish all that control. I kind of really, it's like stripping away all that masculine kind of armor that I walk through my daily life with. And I get
Hmm.
to just be, kind of how I was designed by nature to be, just that feminine, soft energy.
Hmm.
And, but for the, so I, and those are kind of sort of, I guess, fuzzy things, right? So, but what, I want, what on the other end of it, there's a yin and a yang here. What
Hmm.
strikes the balance? What does the Dom get out of all this?
Compliance.
What does that do?
Compliance.
What does that mean?
You want someone who's going to be compliant and expandable,
But what
right?
does that do
It
for
com-
you? What does that do?
it empowers me. It
Mm-hmm.
empowers me to be able to bring out more of my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 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 in control. It gives me control,
Yeah.
you know? And
What is that?
it's
Can I? I just have to. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep excavating here. What is that
go
control?
ahead.
Like, tell me at its core basic function. Like, what is that? What does that control do for you? What does that bring to you, like as a man?
It gives me more power.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, you have a sub and you guys are talking, okay, we agree to do our relationship this way. And so you what you're gaining is I tell you that feminism, that feminine energy is very powerful. And so when you're in a session, this is a very intimate kind of thing and it's a straight power exchange. And
Yeah.
so when someone is giving themselves to you, giving themselves up, that's almost like kind of like a sacrifice a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
not to scare people,
No. No.
but
Yeah.
a sacrifice in a way.
Mm-hmm.
of
Sure.
one just giving up power. And so it's more responsibility, it's more power to the dom. And now I can control two people instead of just one.
Uh-huh.
And this person is here to do my bidding. If I say, I want you to go make me a sandwich and, some hot tea, you do that. If I say, get the foot tub out and, massage my feet, you do that. If I tell you to go kneel in the corner, you go do that. If I tell you to get on all fours and go get the collar and the chain and bring it back to me in your mouth, you go do that. If I ask you, or if I, or if we're going into a session, I'm able to do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
within within the within the guidelines that we already set up. So
Right.
it's all about the setup before you get into all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because uh, just like anything, and we're not going to go political or nothing like that, but there's always checks and balances,
Yeah, sure.
and the checks and balances is the gesture, it is the right to say a safe word to end the session,
Mm-hmm.
and you set up your trajectory early. So even if it's a everyday kind of relationship, those disciplines are already instilled. If you're meeting someone every now and again and you're getting in the session play, those things are talked about and worked out. No one just blindly has only a fool would just throw someone themselves and say, do as you wish.
Yeah.
Some people think that's what slaves are. And it's slaves to a degree, yeah. But I still think before a slave becomes a slave to someone, they need to really root out exactly what they want and let that be said before they consent. Because after they consent, it's a wrap.
Right.
So that's what it is to me.
Yeah.
Is more responsibility, more power,
Mm-hmm.
having control over someone else that they're going to do what I asked them to do.
So, okay, kind of on that note, do you think that people that are dominant and people that are submissive are just kind of, either they're that way or they're not. And if they are, if if someone is, like they're in that lane, you're dominant, you're submissive. If you're in that lane, you can never not be that way. Meaning like you'll always seek it out no matter what.
Ooh, well,
I mean, could
I think
you? So let me extend on that really fast. Could you
okay.
go like just have a vanilla relationship? I mean, could you just, or do you always need that? Is that something that you always need? And then do you think that the converse of that is true, right? With the submissive, like that
Mhm.
once they
You're
know it, they know that lane, like they can't. You just it's part of who you are. You can't deny it.
that is a very good question to ask me right now
Oh,
because I
good.
just ended a situation where as though we had two different views on relationships, and my views are a lot more expansive than her views.
Mm-hmm.
Her views would be more vanilla, and mine's is more in the gray and black.
Yeah.
And I still have discipline and stuff like that. But um, with that being said, going forward, I'm only looking for someone who's into the lifestyle,
Okay.
who actually has interest in the lifestyle, not just, oh, that's what you do, that's cool. We play a little bit, get the paddle out. No, 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 no. I need the mental aspect of it too, because I put myself in a situation that I didn't have that, and things didn't go well. And it's not a result of that. We just had we were like great friends, horrible lovers,
Yeah.
because we two different people in that regard. And I regret going down that road, knowing that they weren't really into it. And I tried to talk about it a little bit, but people already have false judgments about the lifestyle, I try not to even really talk to them about it because their
Yeah.
opinions and some of the comments that they say is just straight ignorant. And I just don't have the energy to try to convince them of nothing else.
Yeah.
So it's taught me, the last 2 years have taught me that this is who I am and this is just the lane I need to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it looked good in a lot of areas, a lot of different areas, not just aesthetically, but on paper, it's not going to really add up if we're not connected and going in the same path. So
Yeah.
I've learned that it's hard to be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And it's not that because this is it's such a hardcore or different thing. It's just your mentality is different. The things that you are willing to accept, the things that are um, considered trustworthy or untrustworthy, those things don't exist in certain realms.
Yeah.
You know what a vanilla person would deem as trust is completely different than what someone else in a BDSM relationship would consider trust. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's tough.
I know. I think that, it's funny because when uh, the first podcast I did with Cowboy N, and I, again, just totally new to all this. And I just remember saying, like, asking him things but also pointing out, almost feeling more like an outsider looking in. Like, I didn't even think that applied to me at that point, was just that these, it almost seems like these types of dynamics take, even that much more intimacy and that much more trust and that much more communication and openness than, like a regular old vanilla relationship. Like, you're my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend. Okay, yeah, let's, check that box. It's, you really, the stuff that you're doing really facilitates and promotes just a shit ton of communication or the obviousness of the lack thereof, right? So
Right.
whatever isn't working is really going to be floating to the surface, and you're going to be butting heads about it faster and a lot
Yes.
in this type of dynamic. And so it's interesting just what you said, because it just kind of triggered that. I'm like, wow, yeah, I mean, I kind of saw that from the beginning, and it is true, I mean,
But
it
it also gives you it also gives you more of what you want out of relating to people. And I think
I think so too.
that's the different,
Mm-hmm.
that's the evolution of where you are.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to go down the rabbit hole of people who are willing to say who they are, own it, not be scared of it, speak their mind, you're going to get into more open relationships, polyamorous, BDSM, because in these lifestyles, and a few other lifestyles, they're more built for you to bring your shit to the table
Yeah.
and say, this is where I'm at.
Right.
And that's where you are.
Yeah.
We butt heads here, but we get along over there.
Yeah.
Can we negotiate on these things?
Yeah.
Can we negotiate on these things enough that we can constitute something or not?
Right.
And those are the things. That's why it's hard for someone to be in a lifestyle and deal with someone that's vanilla,
Mm-hmm.
because vanilla relationships, they can deal with people being authentic and trustworthy as well, but not everybody is coming to the table with what their shit is. Most
Yes.
most most of the time in BDSM, from the people I've talked to, they're willing to share some tragic stories, some really abusive things that's happened to them in their past up front.
Yeah.
Whereas though I've been in some relationships, vanilla in my past, and some ratchet craziness comes out a year and a half into the
Yeah.
relationship. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Yeah. That's
Your
true.
aunt, your dad's wife is your mother's
Yeah.
sister. What are you?
Hello, it's a Jerry Springer episode.
Are you serious? Like, no, and that's real, and that is a real situation that
Yeah.
happened to me.
Yeah.
And so, and how those things affect that person. And so, people in certain lifestyles just are more acceptable that there's pain involved, and that pain is one of the reasons why they like to have these kind of sessions and
Yeah.
play. Some people do sessions for the kinky part of it because the kinksters they like it, and some people are doing it because they're exercising some demons. It's real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's real. And then there's a lot of people who are vanilla who really should have some kind of fetishes to get out their demons, but they choose to, throw them in the closet, act like they're not there.
Yeah.
We've all
So,
been there.
yeah. Okay. So here's my big like wrap it up kind of question here is I just like want to know like let us in. Well, maybe I'm saying the subs, but let if you could like kind of, peel back the kimono here and like let us in on the secret life of doms. Is there one thing a sub should know about a dom for sure? If there is one thing, I guess. And what would that be?
Work out a way that she can get to know a dom. She needs to have a filtering process so she can know a fake dom from a real dom first. Second of all, if she's talking to a real dom, if the things that he want are in line with the things that she wants, and just really understand the man and focus in on that. That would be my best advice because every dom is specific about what he thinks is a line of respect or something in particular that he likes or doesn't like. And so a sub needs to really be in tune that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
It's simple.
I know. Yeah. I mean, it kind of is. So, well, as usual, this is a long recording. Like, holy shit, we
went a long time.
I know. But I always enjoy talking to you. I'm
Yes.
looking forward to continue, talking to you on an ongoing basis. And, to do my sub RX. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Again, I just really loved, I love the content you're putting out in the podcast that you're doing, and especially the one with Michelle. So, just to remind everybody, tell everybody where they can find you, where your websites, your social media, and then your podcast are.
People can find me on Facebook as Sir Inq. That's Sir Inq. They can also find me on kinkspace.net. On Instagram, Sir Inq, and also my website is coming, is www.sirinq.com. And I also have a podcast that can be found on iTunes and can be found on Google, Spotify, and other ones, and it's called The Experience by Sir Inq.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone else.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And for everyone else that's listening, thanks so much for listening. And send your questions and comments in because, I love those. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for listening. And if you like what you hear, refer me to a friend. And make sure you're following me on social media. Also, go to the website, thecuriousgirldiaries.com, and join my subscribers-only list for access to exclusive content. And as usual, questions or comments, you can always email me at curiousgirl@thecuriousgirldiaries.com.